I mean, the reality of it is just that. The government's not coming to save you. There's not this like magical thing that's just going to be there, and in the event of a disaster, it's just going to take care of everything and everything's going to be fine. I think we've gotten so just almost too safe feeling and too comfortable thinking that there's always going to be something there to take care of a catastrophe. And if Hurricane Helene has taught us anything, it certainly is that that's just not the case, because this is what we're actually seeing when we're actually here in the middle of this, and homes have fallen off mountains and people are dying and this is happening. What we actually saw was,
you girls need new collars? Come here, Mama. Mary, Ruru. Who wants to go graze in the front field?
Hey there, friends, and welcome to Heavenly Minded Home. I'm Heidi, and something that's so important to us here is truly seeking to live out the blessing that the Lord has given us each and every day, and really just figuring out what it means to live well where you are. And after going through Hurricane Helene here in Western North Carolina, we're outside of Asheville, kind of in this area here in the mountains that is just sleepy little quiet towns, and really just a homestead way of life is what you see for many people out here. And Hurricane Helene just barreling through and destroying homes, destroying farms, destroying our communities, our businesses, our everything. You know, we're a little over a month out and still trying to deal with the maintenance, the cleanup. I mean, we've got to rebuild our barn. We're still picking up tree debris. You know, we're still removing mold out of our house, and drywall's getting replaced, and, you know, all of these, you know, just crazy efforts going on, and so many more have it so much worse. And I've been sharing a little bit about what we've been facing, what we've been experiencing out here, and the responses I see from so many people really do come back to, it's okay, it will all get fixed, it will all get taken care of. It might not be, you know, what it was, but, you know, it'll get there. And I think what happens to so many of us, because we do live in a world where there are so many systems and things in order, and that's great. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be. So often I keep hearing this, well, if we had a different president, if we had this, if we had that, then, you know, this would be taken care of. Don't worry, FEMA's coming. Don't worry, right? Like all of these things that basically just keep pushing back to the point that, like, the government will make it right. They'll fix the things. Everybody will be okay. Everything will get taken care of. And I think part of that, you know, really has to do with the way that the mainstream media has been covering this, and the way that as a nation as a whole, we kind of treat disasters and kind of just, it's a big deal for a little bit and then we move on. But I think that leaves many of us thinking that, you know, we don't have the responsibility ourselves to be prepared to fix our own things, to do the stuff that we need to do. And I think this sense of responsibility within ourselves is something that is so incredibly important. So regardless of where you live, you know, if you're here with us and you're going through Hurricane Helene, if you're down in Florida with all the storms you guys get there, wherever it might be, we all have to understand that this sense of personal responsibility. Because I will say that, hi Ruth, I will say that here in North Carolina, was FEMA around a little bit? Kind of. They're kind of around a little bit. I'm not saying that nothing's been done anywhere, but there's not just this massive push of assistance and aid coming in from the government sector to help with the, homes that need to be rebuilt, the homes that are filled with mold, the homes that, like us, we had our driveway washed out. We couldn't even get in or out of our property. All these different things that we're dealing with. You're not seeing that. In fact, most us and all of our neighbors, people are getting denied for the assistance that they're saying is available, and you're getting denied for the most ridiculous things. Our family personally was told that they couldn't get a hold of us, so our claim was denied and closed out. Nobody ever contacted us. Nobody ever came by, right? Like nothing ever happened. And so now we have to go through this whole, red tape process to even try to get it reopened, right? To do the whole thing. It's ridiculous. There's so much going on. And I think it's important that for many of us, there's no sense to know these things if you've never gone through them, right? Like if you've never gone through a massive natural disaster, there'd be no reason to be invested in understanding how this process works. But then when you get to it and you go, wait a second, the government's not going to come save you. I mean, the day of the hurricane, when 911 was getting flooded with emergency calls, the grid went down. Most people couldn't even contact 911. Like for here, yes, it wasn't extreme because it was such a massive, uncalled for storm that happened, right? And all the damage, it caught everybody off guard because it's not like we've ever seen before. But those systems that you and we all put our trust in as being American citizens, right? We trust that certain things will be there. 911 will be there, right? Emergency services will be there. There'll be some sort of something that will make it right. This is kind of this assumption and belief that many of us have. And then when you're going through it and you're seeing it firsthand, you're looking around and going, wow, there really isn't. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of government. We could sit here and argue that all day long. And this isn't even a political thing, right? It's not, well, if this happened or that, sure. Would there have been differences depending on who was in office or who was what? Sure. I'm sure there would have been some differences. But at the end of the day, regardless of who's president, who you vote for, if you vote, what state you live in, whatever the case may be, we have to understand that government isn't there to come save everyone. That's not what it does. And when we rely on that and we put our safety and our trust and our just, I don't have to worry about anything because I just know that's always going to be there. We really do ourselves a disservice, because what we need to see more of is we need to see this sense of self-reliability. What I have seen in all of our towns around here, again, Western North Carolina, absolutely ravaged by this storm, damage everywhere. You know who has been there saving the day? Local churches, the local community. Others traveling down and putting people before themselves to show up and to help. Those of you who are making donations, you're sending relief supplies, you're buying, we've put together an Amazon list of needs, we're going out and sharing things and putting stuff out there, we're collecting funds, right? We're helping and doing it, we're all doing the things here. That's what's made the difference. That's what saved the day, not the government. That's not what the government is ever going to do. But when we start to look at this, I think it's so amazing living out here in the country. So many farms, so many small homesteads. We're like a little baby micro homestead here. So many people that not only take the responsibility upon themselves of taking care of their own and being as sustainable as possible, but then having a community of people that already have that mindset to then go in to pour into one another and help one another through the process. Now that's what's made the big difference. And I think in all of this, I'm going to share more this week out of really some massive lessons we've learned here. And it's amazing watching other content creators out here in the area, because I think many of us are kind of feeling that same way of like, wow, this taught me a lot. It really gave me that stark reminder that guess what? The government's not coming to save any of us. Ever. Anywhere. It's not even really what it's made to do, to be honest, right? So like, why do we sit around feeling like we have such a safety net and we don't have to worry about anything and take responsibility for ourselves and how sustainable we are when those things that you don't expect might come and happen? And I think the more that we realize that, the more that we realize that we have to be responsible for ourselves. I think of 1 Thessalonians 4 verses 11 through 12, right? And it's being able to work quietly with your own hands, not depending on others, and being able to give that account and show, hey, the Lord provides. And I'm here and I'm doing my thing and I'm not wrapped up in the ways of the world. And then you have that ability when you've been able to take care of yourself first, you have that ability to pour into others and to be that help and be that light that others need when the circumstances come up. And I know for us, we've had a lot of these things that had been what I wish we were doing, right? Like what we were trying to get towards, and kind of being through all of this just made it like, wow, it's a little more important than maybe, we knew it was important, but a little more important as far as like sense of urgency of what we need to get to. Because you never know what tomorrow might bring. We live in a sinful, fallen world, right? Look at all the stuff that's going on all the time. And even if it's not a natural disaster, how many times do we see, instability in the economy, jobs that people thought were so secure that are gone in an instant. We see these different changes in this even just general civil unrest in the world. And maybe we need to not rely on its systems as much as we do. Because even for our family, I would say that we're fairly removed from like the norm that most people have and do. We do live our lives very differently. We live out in the country. We do things, we thought, quite differently. But then when everything goes down and everything's gone, it was kind of this like, wow, we've got some big holes here, some big gaps that we're certainly not where we thought we were as far as being able to kind of, keep our own and do our own thing. So whether you are, out living in the country and trying to build up your little homestead and do your things, maybe you live in the city, you live in suburbia, right? You're just kind of going through the norm and thinking about this. I think we all would be wise to kind of stop and assess and really look at, are we relying on the systems of this world as our security, as even our last resort of, what would be there to take care of it, right? You get into too much debt, you file bankruptcy, right? You get too sick, you get state insurance. We have all these systems and all these things. And again, I'm not arguing the systems. I'm just saying when we rely on them, and we don't have that personal responsibility within ourselves to be able to take care of what we need to the best of our ability. I'm not a millionaire. I don't have the financial funds to just do all these things and take care of all this stuff, right? Like I don't have that ability, but I can do more to be able to take care of what I need to for myself and my children and my neighbors and my community, pouring into them and helping when times get tough, when catastrophe strikes. Because the government's not just going to swoop in and take care of everyone and save the day. That's not how it works. God is our provider. And it always is. And to see the church, to see the community, just loving, the outpouring, the help and support, the donations, all the things coming in, we know that this is going to be an incredibly long process to any form of normality. We're so far away, it's not even funny. the mainstream media has moved on, right? Like, it's a little pop-up story about something that's happened in North Carolina or whatever, but like they've pretty much moved on. Some new catastrophe will happen. They'll be focused on that. Elections this week, right? Like, so many other things are going to take front page news on everything. Well, people are still struggling. People still don't have power. People still don't have homes. People still don't have the supplies that they need. People's homes are filled with mold, right? All of these things are going on and all of this stuff is happening. Well, the world has moved on because the government has their own things that they're going to go do. They're not here to save the day for all of us. But it's okay because we don't need them. We have one another. We have ourselves. Because we have the Lord's provision. And so to remember that and to take that to heart, even today, regardless of where you are and what your situation is, let what we're all here in North Carolina going through and others have gone through, I mean, I'm just a dime a dozen in this, to say, maybe start thinking about this stuff before it is too late. Maybe realize when you see the highlight reels on the news that it's not exactly what they're showing it to be. There isn't this magic fix-all button that's just going to come in and take care of things if the worst happens. But God gave us community. He gave us one another. And to help, to do the things, to show up, to live out being the church, that's what it's all about. And I will be honest and say that is the majority of what I'm seeing here in Western North Carolina after Hurricane Helene. And so I just wanted to share this with you guys because, again, I'm seeing this over and over and over on my videos and on others as well. And so I think it needs to be said. And if this can help just one other person to really think about this, pray on this, and move forward going, you know what, maybe there are some things that I could be doing to be a little more self-sustainable, to be a better steward of the resources that I have been given, and to pour into my community near and far when there's a need, when there's an issue. If this can help one other person do that, you guys give me a like, leave me a comment, let me know, because praise God, I think that's an amazing thing to remember, an amazing thing to see. And if you're curious of ways that you can help, that you can get involved, that you can be the community, even to us as your neighbors here in North Carolina, regardless of where you are, I've linked everything down below. We've got other videos, ways to help, ways to get involved. We're almost halfway there to our goal that we're trying to raise to help pour back into this here. You guys like this video, comment, share, pass it on, sign up for the email newsletters, all of the things that are going on, because this is what life is about. Real people, really there for one another, making a difference day in and day out. I thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. I'm going to get back to my sheep over here. We're trying to get so much work done here around the homestead. And y'all, I'm tired, but having a nice quiet minute to sit down and catch up with you guys was definitely worth it. Praying for each and every one of you. Thank you again from the bottom of our hearts for everything that you've done. If you haven't already, subscribe, turn on your bell notifications, check out those links down in the description, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, friends. I'm a love.